Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, Season 2, Episode 783.
From the sleepy suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, there are assembled the world's two greatest podcast hosts, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Sean Whalen.
Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast. I'm a big fan of variant colors. My love for Batman is that stuff. Let's talk some comics.
And Jim Segulin.
How's it going, eh? You know me and Superman. I'm really loving what we're doing. Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast.
Their mission, to discuss DC Comics in books, movies, and television several times a month in 1 to 3 hour episodes. And to serve all mankind.
Outstanding.
Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim, the sensei of the whatnot, the Duke, if you know, the Sultan of Strategery, the Minister of More Gooder, the Professor of the Art Read-Through, and of course he remains the elder statesman of the podcast, Segulin.
How's it going, eh?
Jim, on this episode, we're going to be continuing our next 3 issues, part 3 of our exploration of Batman Hush. That's be 614, 615, and 616. We're sponsored, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulin, what is going on over at DCBService.com?
Remember, over at DCBS, it's a great way to get some special deals on comics, on collections, on apparel, on statues, all that really cool geek stuff that we all love. DCBS is a great source for you. And coming up, the new month is coming up. They just the September issues are about to come out, hit the website, and I don't know about you, I'm looking forward to seeing what we got coming out from DCBS. So
it is my favorite time of the month. Because I'm always, it's kind of strategizing as far as what is my pull list going to look like for this month. Because I'm real big on like what kind of new collect editions are coming up, what events are coming up, you and I are both ones that we've started to look at to the specialized covers that are coming. The themed ones are so which ones of those am I going to get? Over at In Stock Trades, I am digging immensely this DC Finest series. They have Batman Red Skies. This is the pre-crisis era Batman. This is Doug Munch, art by Tom Mandrake, Gene Colan, Paul Galassi. This is, and more. This is Batman 388 to 400, Batman Annual number 10, Detective Comics 554 to 567, and Secret Origins number 6. This is 656 pages. This book is $39.99 regularly, 55% off, only $17.99. If you're somebody that's like looking for like some great story arcs to be able to read at a price point, oh my gosh, these volumes are really nice. They're a little bit smaller than, your typical comic book size, but they pack a lot in there. And I'm absolutely digging these volumes. So if you haven't had a chance to grab one of these, try out Batman Red Skies. The storyline looks amazing in this one. I have some of these issues, so I'm like jonesing. It's been years since I've read anything pre-crisis, from this particular era. And I am really, really excited to read this one. So I want to thank DCB Service and In Stock Trades for continuing to support our show. Mr. Segulin, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plot lines, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're discussing on today's show. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Hush. Let's talk some comics.
Reaching melting point. Not sure we can make it.
So, Jim, before we jump into talking about Hush itself, the comic books and continuing part 3, I actually watched the animated Hush. So I have seen it before. You remember I was like trying to place on through whether or not I've seen it before? I did. And it's been since it came out. So what happened with a lot of those DC animated releases when they were coming out, they were churning out a lot of them and they were good. This one, it's interesting. The ending is different. And there's some surprises. When I say the ending's different, the identity of Hush is different, which is intriguing. So, if you're looking at me puzzled, which means you probably didn't see this.
I haven't seen it yet. And now I have to see it, but I had a crazy week, so I barely got reading done, much less been able to sit down and watch stuff.
It's good. I would not recommend it as being the way that you should read the comic Hush and enjoy that whole miniseries first. This is a nice complement to it. It's a good story. I really enjoyed it. It's a good animated adaptation. It sounds like I'm downplaying it. I think part of the problem is when you take a 12-year issue series and you compress it, you always want more of the story. They got all the right beats. So I am recommending it, and I'm sounding tentative. They made a choice on what they did with Who Hush is that is not my preference, but I applaud what they were trying to do. Now, they're trying to keep the surprise in. So if you've read the comics, it gives you a surprise. And it's not a bad surprise. It sets up certain beats for the story that you'd want to have. It's worth watching, 100% worth watching. My preference is the way that the story Hush plays out in the comics. But I really like that they hit all of the important beats. It's well worth seeing. I'm not spoiling things right now because you haven't seen it. And obviously, if people listening to this, if we were going to spoil it, we would tell you, hey, we're going to spoil this, so watch out. The only piece I really am spoiling is Hush isn't who Hush is. It's an interesting sort of piece. But Tommy is in it. So yes, you got to watch it.
I got to see this.
Yes. So
y'all can't see. I've got a weird puzzled look on my face that Sean is reacting to.
Yes. Yeah. So like I said, it follows the Hush story. There's a point where it doesn't. And I get why they're doing it. So I think the idea was really to keep the suspense and the intrigue that Hush had when you read the series by you not knowing who Hush actually is. They did it again. It's interesting. My preference is the way that the original story went, though. So that's that. It's worth seeing, though. It's good. It really is good. So I'm really not selling this well, but you're not. Well, but here's the thing. Being truthful, though, you're hearing my preference. My preference is the comic story. It's a good one. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying it's good. There's a difference. People going to show Sean loves everything. No, I really don't. There's things that I think are good that other people don't think are good, but there's a difference between good and great. This is good, and there's a difference. This is like middle of the I would see it. You don't have to rush to see it, though.
And the funny thing is, you're selling it because knowing the change, I'm like, now I gotta watch it because I want to know how they make where their swerve is, who is their Hush. You know? And
you're either going to like that or you're not. That's one of the things, and as you can tell, I'm kind of like, I don't love it. I didn't hate it either, though. So it was good. That is what it is. All right. Speaking of great, though, let's jump back into Hush with 614. Our writer is Jeff Loeb. Our penciler's Jim Lee. Inks by Scott Williams. Alex Sinclair on colors. Richard Starkings on letters. Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair are the cover artists for the collection. I'm reading a collected version. Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster by special arrangement with the Jerry Siegel family. I'm very Superman happy at the moment because I just saw a posting and it was from somebody digging on Krypton site or something. I'm going to totally butcher this right now. It's another podcast that's out there and I'm sorry. I'm not trying to insult them. But in their Facebook group that I'm a part of, because I actually really like it because they have some great Superman commentary. I'm actually, I listen to their podcast too. One of the 10 million that I listen to, but I listen to it because it's good. One of the posters in there is from Cleveland and posted all kinds of great photos of the Superman statue and what that looks like. Have you seen this thing yet?
Not living in person, but I've seen obviously the images of it. I haven't had a chance to go to and actually see it.
Okay, I just looked it up just because I want to be accurate. It's digging for kryptonite. And where my brain was getting frozen, there used to be a website, well, it still exists, Krypton site, that goes way back to the days of Smallville and stuff like that. So I kept saying digging for Krypton site, and I was mashing them together. It's digging for kryptonite, a Superman fan group. And they had a really cool posting over there, the Superman statue. I'm going to give credit for it's Jeff McCann, and Pros of Living in Cleveland is the name of the post. So if you're a member of this group, go check it out. He has gorgeous pictures of the Superman statue in Cleveland, the tribute to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. It's really, really cool. There's a telephone booth that's there. It's like the whole thing is really set up to be very, very classic Superman. If you have not seen this and you are a Superman fan at all, if you have any opportunity to stop by Cleveland or anything like that, Fan Expo Cleveland, this is outside of the convention center. That's
nice.
There's a walkway that's meant to go from that Huntington Convention Center straight across to where the stadiums are. And so if you're coming to Cleveland, you want to go to the Rock Hall, things like that, this would be a great way to go to Fan Expo Cleveland in the spring, see the statue, kind of go over, hit the Rock Hall, Science Center. There's a lot of stuff to do downtown Cleveland. It'd be a great way to make a nice weekend around this whole thing. But you can see this amazing statue. This is quite the tribute. What led me to that was the honoring, and I love that in the comics where they start honoring and tributing the original creators that came on through. This one is the one that starts off with Batman choking Joker. And this was such a great cliffhanger we were left with last episode where we saw the death of Tommy. And these are beats that I didn't remember. It'd been so long since I've read Hush that I wanted to go back through and just really enjoy this experience. That's the thing I'm loving about this exploration that we're doing. Some of this, it feels like it's fresh to me. I remember reading it and I remember those pieces, but I'm like, oh, wow. I read this like multiple times when it came out, but I don't remember. Do you remember this stuff?
It's the thing. I completely forgot about this. I vividly remembered the Superman Poison Ivy stuff that we talked about. I did not remember any of this joke. Batman just damn near beating the Joker to death with his bare hands.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of this stuff. So when I reread this for the show, I was like, oh, wow, I forgot all about this. And then you're like immediately going, how could you forget about this?
Yes.
This is some epic writing, epic art. This for me is just like a pivotal thing. And I loved how we dive into Bruce's brain throughout all this stuff. And also, once again, Gordon being the most amazing character, one of the best supporting pieces for Batman, and also Selina showing how she is a support for Bruce as well. I love these sequence, and this was like most of this issue was just Batman beating the living hell out of the Joker. And I'm one of those guys where I love the no-kill code, flat out love it, but there are times when I'm like, the Joker can be the exception. And I always had that notion, like, there's some of Batman's rogues, I'm like, no, they can maybe be rehabilitated. The Joker can't be rehabilitated. And I'm like, and I go back to the rules of engagement. When is lethal force authorized? If you're in direct, immediate danger, if innocent civilian life is direct or in immediate danger, or if by letting them get away, people are in direct, immediate danger. Those are the three primary rules for authorized use of lethal force. All three of those are reached by whenever you encounter the Joker.
Yeah.
You're always in danger. He's always in danger of hurting some innocent person, or if you let him get away, people will die. So any law enforcement agent has authorized lethal force against the Joker. And it's one of those things where that's always in the back of my head, but I love the fact that Bruce doesn't cross that line. That's the line he doesn't cross. And we see in various Elseworld story kind of stuff, when either Bruce crosses the line, what happens to him, or even the time when Superman crossed the line, what happened to him. So we get an idea of what happens if he does cross that line. Once you take that first step, the next step is easier, then easier, then easier. And then things you throw out who you are because of that one initial action. And I love the fact that it always comes down to that. Yes, even the Joker, you can't kill. Right. Even though everybody around him is like, we kind of wouldn't have an issue if you did. It's the Joker. But there's still that, if he crosses that line, the next one will be easier.
Sure.
Easier to, and I love that. I love that story. And it's funny because that's what these multiple pages are all about. And so I'm kicking myself. I can't believe I forgot that, because this is one of those duality things of the Batman Joker relationship that I love so much. And this is just an epic, brilliant way of telling the story.
Continuity. It's one of those reasons. Why are comic fans so into continuity? And this sequence is really a great example of that. When you're taking a look at just in the red, they've got the history of what he did to Barbara, what he did to Sarah S., and all these pieces that are in there. We're adding a rich history to the fact that this man has done horrible, atrocious things.
Oh, God, yeah.
And this is just, Tommy's just one of many things that he's done. It's like the straw that finally broke the camel's back. And Bruce has got so much going on right now because he's been screwed with over and over and over again. And when you're a detective like Bruce is, the hardest part is not knowing, like, who did this. So he's jumping to, this is all the Joker. The Joker did this. The Joker's the one that's been screwing with me all along, which historically is something that the Joker has and would do. And I love that this story is playing heavily into something that Bruce has been torn about for years. What if I just ended this guy? And I'm so glad that it went there. I loved where it went because Bruce was going there. I mean, and we pages after page of him beating him down, Harley trying to stop him. And that when he is this driven, just showing how much Batman holds back, he was out to kill him to the point where he's kicking Harley out of the way with a severe force so that way he can continue on his mission, which he's all in right now on, killing the Joker.
Hey, I'll tell you, this is, again, as I said, just epic. And I love as he's beating on the Joker, he's initially like, stop. Stop me if you've heard this one before. I'm innocent. And I love just, again, as Joker's getting beaten to death, he's still trying to crack a joke. You know, and it just, again, it shows just the psychotic nature of who the Joker is.
Until he's not.
Yeah.
Wait, there is a point where he's not. And you're right. Ditto to everything you're saying. But there comes a point where he's like, I'm not joking, bat boob. And I mean, yeah, he's kind of punning there, but he's forcing the puns at that point. Check my gun. Nothing but blanks. I mean, there's a point where the joking starts shrinking drastically because I think Joker's recognized this is something different.
Joker 100% is recognizing at this point that something is not right with the Batman. He is going to kill me. And it's kind of interesting because when you think about the Joker, the craziness, and is he crazy? Is he crazy like a fox? Is a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B? Right here, we're kind of starting to see the intelligence of the realization of the guy who doesn't want to die. If he was 100% pure on crazy, he would just go along with this. He'd be laughing the entire time as Batman beats him to death.
Right.
But because he's not full on crazy, because he doesn't have a 100% death wish, he actually wants to live. So now he's trying to reason with the guy because he knows, hey, this is Batman. Batman doesn't kill. Wait, these punches are a lot more than normal. He's not holding back. He's actually strangling me. And I love where he's like, they do the writing where you can actually see he's crushing Joker's windpipe, but he is actually killing the Joker with his bare hands. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
The dialogue's critical here from Batman. It's just another lie to keep himself alive. I think of Barbara, and snapping the Joker's neck becomes that much easier. Not thoughts of snapping the Joker's neck. Snapping the Joker's neck becomes that much easier. That was deliberate dialogue and really, really good. It shows at this point in time that this man has been pushed. Even Batman can be eventually pushed to that level. And he's been pushed over and over and over again. We've seen villains do this to Bruce before. We've seen the physical pushing, like with Bane, which was also psychological back at the time, where Batman was broken physically and emotionally and all the pieces that he did back then. Hush is doing something similar to Batman. And I love this because of the fact that this was planned over time and strategically put in place where Batman has just been hammered at this point.
And continuing on with the comments about Batgirl, I love what they did in that sequence because they go back to the flashback sequences of Bruce and Batgirl flying, swinging through the city. And they had that one really cool moment where we're talking about how Batgirl loved this, even more than Dick did as Robin. This was something she understood it. And it was like, she wanted it. She was old school. And it's kind of like her and her father. That kind of camaraderie. And I love the scene And where he's like, even though she knew the risk and she's standing there, Bruce has got a little smirk on his face and you can see her just loving what she's doing. Mm-hmm. Then you power the page flip, you flip the page and we go back to Joker shooting and it's all red, and then they talk, and then he goes, Barbara, she can't use her, even without her legs, she's still invaluable in her role as Oracle. I tell myself that Barbara would understand what I have to do tonight. I loved how even goes even a little bit deeper where he's thinking, he's like, yeah, Barbara will understand. They will all understand. And he's convincing himself, yes, I can kill him.
That panel of her in the clock tower is brilliant. The shadow.
Yeah.
The shadow of the bat symbol behind her. She's still Batgirl even in the chair. I really liked that choice. It's subtle and easy to miss, but I love what they did with the shadow there.
And again, Catwoman jumping in to stop him. And showing it, she's like, hey, I'm not going to let you do something you'll only regret. And I love the fact that she knows him well enough that she tries to stop him, but Bruce actually takes her out.
Yes.
He uses the wound and knocks her out. I'm like, holy, that again, it shows he's gone over the edge. And he then starts thinking about Jason, how Joker killed Jason. I'm like, holy crap. This is like, I'm reading this going, oh my God. I know he doesn't kill him, but they're laying this out. First time through, I'll tell you, if this was first coming out monthly, I would have questioned, are they going to kill up the Joker?
This is
the story did.
This is, though, a strategic plan of his. Like, This isn't something where he is snapped on a whim. He got there. Like, this was done over time. And there's something to that when you take a look at it. It's like, oh, geez. This is something where the after effects of this, he has to re-examine himself after this. And recheck himself and who he is after all this piece.
Yeah.
Because going back to the Jason piece, and I love the use of, you keep referencing the red color sequences, the shifting between when they use color and when they don't in those flashbacks, when it goes black and white, when it goes back to color again, to the red, just the red in there. This was very, very sharp and very, very dynamic. I mean, every choice that they made here was really, really smart. This is what makes this a top tier story. It is everything that goes together in this. Color work and color choice, shading, tones, even in the black and white sequences, the shading and tonal pieces of that. When he's holding Jason there in his arms, this is all black and white sequence. That is gorgeous. What a gorgeous sequence of events. The choices there to frame that up that way, very well done. I mean, woo.
Oh, God, yeah. And then the comparison to when he's thinking about what could happen to Catwoman, when she's dead, bullet wound to the chest, laying in his arms, the comparison of those two imagery, I'm like, oh, God, yeah. I'm like, and again, I also appreciate the fact that they went with the costume at the time of when Robin actually died. It had the big yellow bat symbol on the chest versus how he currently runs with just the black symbol. I like the fact that, again, art team said that was what the costume was at the time. So they went with the costume that he was wearing when Jason died. I thought that was cool usage personally. And and again, little subtle stuff like that as you go through, and then present day time, that rain effect looks awesome. And again, a rain-soaked alley in Gotham City. And I love just how they draw the grit and the grime and just the energy that is Gotham. Because again, Gotham is a part of the story. It is a character in every epic Batman story we've ever talked about. We've always commented on how Gotham is part of the story. And again, it's showing it in the artwork here again, why it's such a pivotal part of who Batman is. And I love these sequences.
It's so funny as he's rationalizing this as he's going through it. And this is an example of what people do when they're doing something wrong that they know is wrong.
Yeah.
They are convincing themselves that this is the correct path. Whatever you're feeling, whatever feelings I may have for you, Selina, and that is very complicated right now. I cannot let you stop me. Her bullet wound makes her vulnerable, and I exploit it. And I tell myself she will understand someday. Selina. And that's when he goes into that sequence you're talking about where he sees what could happen to her. Don't you see that our relationship only allows for the possibility that one night, and that is what's driving him on this. This is a man now whose whole world has changed. He's got the possibility now of having something with Selena. And I don't know that he has the emotional maturity to get there right now, because he's basically looking at this like, okay, now that she's involved in my life, it changes everything. She's at risk. It doesn't. She was at risk before. No, I mean, by the fact that she made the decision multiple times now to help Batman out, that's a known quantity in the villain community. She's already in danger. So there's nothing that, like, them dating now doesn't mean all of a sudden, like, hey, guess what? She's in more danger now? I'm pretty much so sure the whole villain community knew that she was a liability anyway. So, but I mean, that just shows where Bruce is at. I get that, though. When you're looking at, historically, everything the Joker's done, it's all been to screw with him and to push him to this level. I think one of the reasons why Joker's so defensive on this one is he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So it's not as funny. Like, he needs to be the one. He's not going to, I mean, he probably thought the whole Hush thing was funny at first till he didn't.
Yeah.
And that's really, really a funny part, the way that this plays out. Joker, when Batty Man is, help, wild man, madman, Batty Man, and Batman's coming after him, this is a very, very different take on the Joker right here. And I love that because he's a survivor. One of the things about the Joker that I really love about the character is his innate ability to survive. And Jim Gordon showing up on the scene, which this was a critical use of Jim Gordon here, because this is now his friend, his confidant. Gordon's got everything that he and Batman have built together. Gordon cannot have this happen because it makes a mockery of every risk Gordon's taken for his own career because of his belief in Batman and Batman's ability to be a symbol for Gotham. This is where the idea of Batman becomes bigger than the man in the costume. And Gordon's doing that here. I'd love when it gets into that whole thing where you can't do this. And there's so many reasons why you can't do this. Not only does it compromise yourself, it compromises everything that Batman is and everything that it's created as a symbol that could live. You know, and really, realistically, there's always that idea of, can the idea of Batman live beyond Bruce? We've seen that happen before. I love that this story goes there with that. This usage of Jim Gordon was brilliant.
Oh, God, yeah. And I love the fact that Gordon's initially like, hey, you got to think this through, man. You don't want to do this. Then he realizes, God help me, you have thought this through. He realizes Bruce has justified it in his head to kill the Joker. And then Gordon now is shifting from, hey, I got to snap my friend out of this. I now have to talk him down. I now have to convince him not to kill the Joker. It changed. If you're like in a fit of rage, you can, hey, calm down. Okay. No, Bruce is beyond rage. He's actually thought it through and he's come up with a logical conclusion, justified killing the Joker. And Gordon's got to convince him not to do it. And I love how he threw it out there. All I can do is appeal to you through our friendship. I wouldn't let you do this when he shot my daughter, killed my wife. I don't know how I could stop you, but I won't let you throw your life away. I love it was that open final plea that kind of snaps Bruce back. And again, it gets him back to, I'm not going to kill the Joker. I love this sequence. Again, the best Batman stories have Gotham as a city and have a strong Jim Gordon. Once again, we've got that in both of this. I was like, there's a reason this is an epic story, is because it's not just what goes on in Bruce's life, but all the people around him. This is one of those amazing things that you're like, dang, I love this story.
I forgot about this last bit and where it goes. I don't know why I forgot Harvey Dent in this.
Yeah.
And where it goes. Because when the coin flipped, even when I read that issue as we started going through this exploration, I'm like, oh yeah, there was some kind of Two-Face part in this, wasn't there? I was not realizing that is Two-Face.
Yeah.
And in that moment, because I was still thinking, oh, so Hush is watching them like he has. No, that's not Hush. That's Harvey.
Yeah. And again, going through this on a monthly, if I was reading this on the monthly, I 100%, this page would have made me say, holy crud, Two-Face's Hush. And would it completely, if I would think,
but that's what it's meant to do. Yeah.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's what's brilliant about this. If going through, I was thinking, by this point in time in the story, if I had thinking it was Tommy, this would have thrown me off. This 100% would have made me say, oh, okay, that's who it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love that they did that. For me, that's something that I was like, dang, this is awesome.
Talk about gorgeous covers. I'm looking at the next issue and wow. I am a Batman and original Robin geek. I love Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson's just an amazing character. They do a really good job of spotlighting when these two team up. It's something that, yes, we think happens all the time, not like this, and when they do it, it's special moments. When we get these two just paired up like this, there's always the Batman family teaming up together and stuff like that, but they always break down into squads and rarely do you get this.
Yeah.
And there's something special when you get the two of them running and gunning together. It's a different level of comfort and familiarity. And especially with their journey being such a jagged one along the way, I love when you get to see moments like this.
Yeah.
And the cover is such a geek out. And it knows it is. I mean, this is when they're drawn, they're like, oh, people are going to love this. But they're right. They are absolutely right. I mean, oh, yes.
Well, and it's funny, we keep saying we keep talking about the covers because they're absolutely brilliant. But every time we get a new cover, I'm like, oh yeah, I want that on my wall. Oh yeah, I want that on my wall. Oh yeah. And it's hysterical.
I've been looking on eBay for the portfolios because they had a portfolio set for this type of thing.
Every one of these things just hits it out of the park and goes, yes, I want that. I want that signed and framed on my wall so I can periodically just look up and stare at it. And that for me, again, yes, thank you very much. And it's funny with the app and all that, I've been reading older Batmans. So I've been reading stuff where Dick was actually Robin.
Yeah.
And those stories are actually pretty good. I dig those things. It's one of those things I was like, I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, because again, I like Nightwing. I really like Nightwing, and these team ups where it's adult Nightwing and Batman teaming up, I like that. So I didn't really think I would like him as a little kid, but I was like, what? These are some cool stories. This is a neat team up between these two.
Wait till you get to some of the issues where it was Teen Titans were in play and he was Robin still and coming back from college and things and just seeing that relationship. They really played out some interesting character growth, which progression was something that in comics you kind of delayed or avoided altogether. And I really liked that this is an example of it. Here's the thing. The story went on so long that you had to do something. And I'm glad that they did. It kind of got forced over time for them to kind of awkwardly is a weird way to say it, but it is kind of feeling it out. What do we do? How do we move this along without losing the magic that is keeping people reading? And that's the danger of the journey, right? It's Batman and Robin. So, they started exploring things like, Dick Grayson growing old and going to college. And then eventually Dick Grayson being replaced by another Robin. And that's something where the risk that they took doing that is bigger than we all realize, because you're taking something that is one of their big franchises and you're messing with it. And it is a risk when they do that. The payoff is when you do something really cool with it and people go, Superman getting married to Lois, that was a risk. Let's go to Marvel. Spider-Man getting married to Mary Jane. All these things that they've done over those years where they've had progression, they're a danger when they do it. It's always engaging for the reader because there is a hook. Oh, wow. Now we're moving forward. But it's really interesting when they do this. This flipping back to Tommy Elliott being dead. They've done a really good job in this, in making this historical relationship feel like it's something that's just always been there. For us as readers, in a very short period of time, they had to make us believe that like Bruce would really be this torn up over this kid that he grew up with that we didn't know about until now. And that's something that's really hard to sell. And they've done a great job in this story through flashbacks of giving us this history and continuing to do it in this issue because it opens up with even more of that. And I think it's really a smart move as far as establishing something that is really, really got layers of history to it that didn't, for lack of a better way to say it.
And again, I love with this funeral sequence, with the flashbacks and flash forwards and all that going on. But I did love the scene between Tim and Dick at the funeral. Like, hey, did Bruce ever talk about this guy? No, but they immediately dismiss it as, oh, Bruce, he doesn't talk about his past. So that I love the fact that they had that little notation in there, going back to, with us as the reader, we had no idea this guy existed. The Robins didn't know this guy existed. And it further added, again, it's part of a really cool plot point that we later learn on why this guy was so important to Bruce. And I thought that, for me, laying the groundwork right here for a reveal in like 5 more issues. I thought that, for me, was another brilliant story plot point that they do in this, that we later learn why Tommy Elliott's so much on Bruce's brain. And I thought that, for me, was absolutely brilliant.
It also was really well done, the idea that, and I love that Dick Grayson sells this, because it brings us into their world and adds more logic to it. He doesn't talk about much of his childhood at all, because that was all before his parents were killed, which are painful, painful memories, looking back and going, the happier times. And I get that. I'm like sitting there like, wow, okay, all right, that all makes sense storytelling wise. So let's move on through. Hey, and I love that Tommy's connecting with him right away. Hey, look, we both got 2 first names for our first and last names. Just little tiny things making connections. And this war game that they play, just kind of immediately connecting over lunch. And the immediate rivalry that's starting there, I'm better than you, which would get that piece going. These are just fond memories that are etched in Bruce's brain.
Yeah.
And I'm a Batman geek when all of a sudden we can get inside Batman's head. There have been so many great stories where we've been able to do that, and because they don't always do it. And these situations where you get a chance to see him get emotional is really great. Selina here being on the scene, and I'm sorry, you're probably going to the same place I am. I'll do it real quickly because I want your thoughts on it. Selina being here, I keep forgetting the duality of she doesn't know. I mean, there may be some part of her internally that knows. She's not dumb by any stretch. So there's some mutual connection between both Bruce Wayne and Batman. But I really enjoy the fact in this that, wait, she's there to support Bruce while she's got this relationship going with Batman, not knowing that they're the same guy. And it's an interesting sort of thing. She's just there because we've dated. I want to be here for this guy. I love the critique of, he's not going with, oh, Captain, my Captain, is he? And I loved that. It was a great little humorous bit, but it's something that's so true in real life, right? There are little nuances and quirks that we all have that people have grown over. And that just added more of a sense of just Bruce being human.
Yeah. And again, with Selina there, it's absolutely wonderful. And I love the fact that she doesn't know yet. And it's that duality of she's there to support Bruce. She's there for Bruce, even though something's now going on between her and the Bat. And I'm like, and you got to think in her head, she's got to have a little bit of conflict going on in her mind because she's got Bruce and she's got the Bat. And she's like, I don't know what I want to go with, what I want to do here. And I love the fact that she's there. And I love that Leslie, who knows the secret, who knows what's going on, is there just to be there. Again, she's got to be there for Bruce, but also is there a little bit with Selina. And I thought that was good. But the one line in here, I love the fact that Bruce comments on how Tommy doesn't have any family. He's got the old chauffeur who's long retired, but he's got Tim, he's got Dick, he's got Selina, he's got Leslie, he's got Lucius. He's got Alfred. He's got a family. Yeah. He's got more than he realizes. So it's the neat realization that Bruce is kind of having in how much of a family he still has. He lost his mom and dad, and that was the birth of the Bat. But in life, he's developed the family. He has somebody in his life, and I don't know how much of it is just, again, when you deal with funerals, when you deal with loss, when you deal with all that stuff, sometimes you start looking at your life differently. And I love the fact that Bruce is looking at his life differently right now, because that's a normal human thing, and normal human emotional reaction are normal for Bruce. You think about it. He suppresses everything. Here he's embracing it, and it's kind of good for him in a way. And it's funny that this evil villain is the one who brings out the more emotion. And I love Bruce's retrospect as he's doing the "Oh, Captain, my Captain," where he's talking about when Tommy graduated from medical school, he was already in Paris training. He was in Japan when Tommy's mom got sick with cancer, so he didn't get a chance to say anything to him. And it was just always the excuses why he never got in touch with Tommy. And again, if you have a friend that you haven't seen for many years, you're going to go through that. You're going to have those thoughts go through your head. And I love the fact that we get this normal reaction from Bruce. But the best part
Wait, hang on 1 second, because I want to comment on that piece, just because I think it's so true. It's great when art imitates life. And I think everybody listening's been through. I've been through that, where either I'm at a point in time where I'm taking classes, I'm trying to advance my career, and although I'm just not as present for a friend as I want to be. I've had it happen to me, in the reverse. And those things are never personal. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard not to take them personally, or your own regret to sit there and maybe overdo it a little bit as far as your own mistakes. But you see how easy it is for people to fall out of touch for whether you're right or wrong. That's not the point. That's real world. That happens all the time. And I love that Bruce is playing it out, and you feel the regret there. You can connect with that. It makes you a better person. You sit there and go, crap, I need to make sure I don't do that. I mean, I know I've made mistakes like that. I know the reverse has happened to me. You try to be better. I love when stories like this resonate in that way, and you sit there and go, I can learn from this. This is a friendship that he should have held on to. Now, there's reasons why we could argue that no, he's probably a good thing that he didn't, but because Tommy wasn't such a good guy. And we're going to get to that. But I really like that this is grounded, really, really grounded in real emotion and real life. With Bruce's training, he was driven. As we know, what do we love about Batman? It's his own unique ways, drive to be something more. But that comes at a loss. There's a sacrifice that he made along the way, and one of them was people and connections. He put his mission ahead of so much over the time. It's one of the issues that why hasn't he had a relationship, or why have his relationships failed ultimately? It has been that drive. So this is a pivotal moment that defines who Bruce is, and he hasn't outgrown this. As you get older, I think it's something we both have done. You start to outgrow that a little bit more. You make those connections more with friends. You're like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I am going to reach out. I'm going to send something. I'm going to make sure that at least the presence is felt. Because that's a big thing now. Like if I can't be somewhere, I make sure that I send flowers, or I send a card, or I send something, so you're there on some level, knowing that they've got your hand on their shoulder, if that makes any sense. It sounds trite, but having been through stuff before with my own family, those things that seemingly to the person at the time seem like a little thing they're doing, they mean a lot, that they took the extra step to do it when they were perhaps too busy to actually be physically present. They did something to make sure that they were present. And I love when I'm reading this and I'm like, man, there's something to learn from this. Bruce's drive's overtaken so much of his life, and there's regret there. I love that feeling of reality. And that makes really good storytelling, because these are characters we love, right? And I love this kind of stuff. This is great.
Oh, God, yeah. And one of the things I loved about this, the final thing I loved about this funeral sequence, as he was finishing up, he puts down the spy piece. And that spy piece is so crucial in the Tommy Bruce story. Mm-hmm. You think about it, when the first time they did this game, Bruce is like, I won. Tommy's like, no, you didn't. You forgot about the spy. He's like, well, I got my general protected. The spy is the most important piece. And even just in this issue, if you flip back a couple pages, you'll see that the spy is the piece that's on the table. The spy, and again, also considering what we know about Tommy now, the spy is very important piece because Tommy is the spy. Tommy is the infiltrator in Bruce's life, in Batman's life. And I love the fact that this is the piece that Bruce chose to put down on the casket because that was always the most important piece to Tommy. Again, it's foreshadowing on everything, but also I love the artwork on this. That we do get the reflection of Bruce in there, and it's just absolutely brilliant stuff here. The story being told, artwork combine the two together. It's taking momentous moments that it's like, holy crud. And even that little comment, the little joking about Bruce doing the, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," didn't take away anything of the seriousness. If anything, it gave Selina and Leslie more personality. So again, it furthered their story to who they are. I loved how they handled these pages.
I loved bringing Jason Todd back. I loved Damian. But as far as you're to ask me, what is one of your favorite eras of Batman? It was the era where we had Bruce, we had Dick Grayson, and we had Tim Drake. There's something about just the polish of the relationship between Dick Grayson and Tim, because Tim is so different than Dick Grayson. Like there's a natural looking at Dick Grayson as the older brother like Tim Drake does, but also Tim Drake's way of operating and how he came at this is so different than what happened with Dick Grayson. I just really liked what Tim brought to the table and just the focus on what Batman and Robin looked like in this era. And with Alfred being a part of the team and stuff like that, and Oracle's use as being kind of the connecting thread of the whole DC universe. This just was really, really just a cool era. And I just love seeing this snapshot again of what that was all like. It really it was a great relationship. Bat gadgets were sweet too. I mean, they like you flip the page, you see Bruce doing his research. He was using, we're AR and stuff like that working in. I have the MetaQuest 3 now, but I've had the PlayStation VR before then. And the MetaQuest 3, you can actually put down the controllers and you can do some of the manipulation with your hands. It actually registers them, so you're able to do stuff like this to a certain extent. I love that the tech that they're showing in this is still not like readily accessible at home. You can do some of this now. Apple put out their Apple Vision goggles now where you can do a lot of this stuff as well with it. And it's certainly much more advanced than the MetaQuest in what it does. It's designed to be off of that end, where the MetaQuest is much more of an entertainment piece. I love this kind of tech and the fact that we're exploring with it. It's great that you can look years later at Hush and go, they're still exploring this now as far as getting there. Yes, it feels grounded, like this is very, very doable today, and it is. So it's very doable technology, but it's still way cool when you see it over there. And the artwork, as far as the transparencies and stuff like that, is he is going through now. Everything the Joker said is sinking in. The evidence is sinking in. He is going through, and now we got the detectives at work. He's meant to be doing this too.
Yeah.
Tommy knows he's going to do this.
Yes. And again, Tommy did this for the sole point of keeping Bruce distracted, keeping Bruce off his game.
Right.
And every single one of these little elements that Tommy's throwing at Bruce has been about that one single moment of keeping him off his game, throwing him for a loop. He's the world's greatest detective. He prepares for everything. Well, he didn't prepare for this. This is something that he didn't prepare for, that somebody has been playing him for multiple years. And I think that is something that's really starting to hit Bruce hard. And I love, again, throughout this sequence, you've got the hologram image of Dick Grayson, Dick is actually there. And it's not until Bruce turns off the VR headset that Dick is actually physically.
Well, no, that's not the hologram image of Dick Grayson. Dick is coming upside down into the hologram image of Tommy.
Oh, okay. So
Bruce is analyzing what happened there. Dick is coming in to check on him and ends up inserting himself in the same spot. Because actually, if you take a look at where Dick first comes on the scene, you actually see his hair falling outside of the image of Tommy. Like, it was done really well. It's Dick Grayson being the amazing acrobat that he is. Bruce has tilted the body of Tommy, so he's analyzing it through this VR and Dick or AR environment, and Dick is inserting himself in. I don't know that Dick is actually seeing what Bruce is seeing, because Bruce is probably seeing that through his, I don't know if that's in the room or if Bruce is seeing that through goggles. It may be that it's a very Dick Grayson thing if he saw that to insert himself that way.
Okay, now I'm going to say that he did see that. And that's, again, as you said,
it's a very Dick Grayson thing to do, right?
Very Dick Grayson thing to do to get Bruce's attention. Like, Bruce, hello, I've been talking for like 10 minutes. And I love that Bruce is like, I've been listening. And Bruce has been listening. Bruce heard everything that Grayson said. He's like, you think you could turn this thing off a couple minutes? It requires more, we can talk. It requires more than just listening.
Yeah.
And I love, again, Dick Grayson has that relationship with Bruce. He can be blunt like that. Tim Drake couldn't do that. Even Oracle couldn't do that. But Dick Grayson and Bruce have been through so much that Grayson's able to do that. He has that. He's earned that right to tell Bruce, hey, shut this off for. Alfred's another one who could tell, will you shut that infernal contraption off for 1 minute so we can talk? Alfred could do that as well, but Alfred's like backing off because he knows Dick Grayson's the best person for this job right now. Somebody's got to physically talk to Bruce, and I love that.
This is another great era, too, because it started to continue this evolution of where do we go with the dark and brooding Batman? Like, we went there because everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted a darker Batman. They wanted a more brooding Batman and things like that until, like any story, all right, we've told a lot of these stories now. What do we do with them now? And that was really where this was going at the time. And I love that we're gradually, like, Dick Grayson notices it. It's not just me. We're all recognizing the fact that you're a box of chocolates compared to what you would have been in the past on this one. So they're acknowledging that there's been a positive change with the character, who he is as a person and his growth. As readers, we were feeling it too. And they had to do this gradually because you don't want to lose people think he's cool, so you've got to have that aspect of Batman, the coolness factor of he's got an edge to him, and that edge is a little different. He's DC's Wolverine, as far as putting it that way. And I'm not cookie cuttering those two in any way, but why does Wolverine have 87 titles? Why is Wolverine appear in 87 different places over there? Because he's cool, and he's had that coolness factor. There's a danger with both of these characters, though, of overexposure and overdoing what you're doing with them. You've got to find continual hooks to bring people in. Like, why am I still interested in this character? And it's when you do stuff like this, we're gradually evolving Batman and making him, adding other layers into him that are fun to follow. And this storyline does that at a time where I was ready for it. Like, I wanted to see the Bat family continue to evolve and grow. He's still got to be Bruce. He's got to have that edge to him. But you need that sense of, do these people matter at all? And the stories were showing it. Yes, they do matter.
Yes. One of the parts I loved about this conversation between these two was Bruce is breaking everything down, how it wasn't the Joker and this and that. It was like, but I love the fact that he goes, if detective work were easy, everyone would be doing it. And Dick's like, what was that humor? Now I'm worried about you. And that look that Bruce gives him, I thought that was perfect. And then you go to that honest moment. It even got to me. I almost killed the Joker. I honestly wanted to. And I didn't love right there that admission from Bruce to Dick Grayson that I wanted to kill him. I wanted to, he had justified doing it. And I thought that for me was absolutely just that brilliant moment of, once again, we're seeing emotional growth from Bruce Wayne. And you're like, hey, this is awesome.
Even during the Oracle bit, like he drops it, and it was great lines. Guys, yes, Oracle, if you're all through with the male bonding, does she have to listen to everything? You'd know better than I would. And I love her coming back with, I heard that. That was so honest and great. That was real banter. That's when they nail this stuff in comics. People who like dismiss comics as being funny books, whatever, as far as that piece, they've never read them. That dialogue, this would be on television in a sitcom and things like that. You'd be hooked. Yeah, I mean, there's stories that there's television shows that look for this kind of magic. And that's when it's well written like this. Ooh, this can be acted out and speaks for itself. And that's why some of the movies are better than others. You know, it's funny I'm looking at the lineup. I don't know if you've taken a look at the coming lineup. We're going to have a year where we've got like another Superman movie. We've got a Batman movie. We've got a new Spider-Man movie, and we got an Avengers flick, all in the same year. I mean, what? And the difference is, I was talking with one of our mutual friends who has not enjoyed some of the lineup of the past few years of superhero movies. And I said, here's going to be the difference what's coming up down the road. And I said, you should be excited for this. We've gone from getting good superhero movies, which I've enjoyed. I said, you didn't, and so you don't think that they're good the way that I do. But I said, there's a difference between good and great. Great are the ones that you can recommend to casual people. Like, I'm not a diehard. I don't need to see all these okay films, good films, whatever. I want to see only great, because then otherwise I'm going to see other things. And I said, we got a year that potentially, if the scripts are as good as what it all looks like on paper, we could have 4 back-to-back movies that just knock your socks off. That there's could be some real noise coming up. I mean, I liked the first the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. I'm looking very forward to the sequel. I'm glad they're taking their time, letting that one simmer, and really making sure that they nail that and get that right. I'm jonesing for Man of Tomorrow, and now going to the Marvel end. These Spider-Man movies have been killing it. Tom Holland's amazing as Spider-Man. Can't wait to see that. And this Avengers flick, I hope that they nail this the way it looks like it's going to be, because that one could be a geek out and a half with all the appearances that are going to be in it.
Yes.
So,
oh God,
well, we could have 2 back-to-back Avengers flicks that get all the right feels again, and maybe take some lapsed MCU fans that are just kind of like, give me that hook again back into there. And I hope that happens, because I want cinema to have that. Forget superhero movies, because that's one genre that's out there. But when I go into a multiplex, very rarely do I go in there and sit with a crowd anymore. It was the Superman movie when I saw it downtown that it had that piece. I want to see that piece. But flipping back to this, where I'm looking at it, these are the kinds of dialogue moments. These are the types of scenes that will make anybody geek out. If you're like a casual fan, like I grew up, I always liked Batman. I'm going to go see this Batman movie. If they've got moments like this, you know, between any of the characters that are in there that are this well written, this connecting, you start to feel involved in the world. You start taking into the world. This story did a great job of doing that. Barbara, you understand right here in this sequence what the relationship is between Bruce. You're definitely asking questions about the relationship between Dick and Barbara.
Yeah.
And I just loved how that played out. As somebody who maybe hadn't read this before this story, you may look at that and start going, oh, I'm going to do a Google search. Tell me more about Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon. I want to know more about what that relationship's like.
That's a neat thing. That this story has done so many times where it's put, what about this? What about that? Gets you thinking off page. And that's something I absolutely loved, again, about the story, that even you and I, who we know all these backstories, it makes you want to read that. It makes you want to see that. Like, I'll tell you right now, I 100%, when we're done talking about this, I'm going to reread Killing Joke. Just because there have been such great references to it, I've got to read it again.
I've already started reading Absolute Killing Joke. That's so funny that you say that. Because I got the Absolute, and by the way, anybody listening to this one, it is a gorgeous volume, Absolute Killing Joke. Do yourself a favor if you don't have that. They also released a deluxe edition that was recolored as well. It's interesting to look at the original Killing Joke and the recolored version of it by Brian Bolin. So just to see both, because there was a color artist who did the original, which is gorgeous, and then he went back through and redid it.
Yeah.
So both versions are very, very gorgeous and very well worth checking out. I'm going to say one thing as we flip the page here right now and look at the double page spread. I've really enjoyed this exploration of Bruce being limited on his money. I want very, very rich Batman back.
Yes,
because this is Batman to me. Which one? And you see all of those cars sitting there. Let's get back to which one. This is Batman. So much about this story geeks out, where I love when we take Batman to certain places. Give him the toys back. It's time.
Well, he started to get his money back. So
You haven't read Batman yet, have you?
No, I have not read Batman yet.
Read Batman.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not spoiling anything by saying that. I think you get a taste of where they're going with it. I'm talking about the Matt Fraction book. By anybody listening here right now, we've relaunched Batman with Batman #1. That was one, dude. I read that. I got it on Comixology. I've got the physical version coming too from DCBS in my monthly order, but this one I read it. I read it 3 times. I just loved it. It's so good.
And just to let everybody know how much Sean loved it, after reading it, he texted me at night. And I was like, I just read it. Oh, it's good.
It is. It's really good. Shame on you for not reading it. I was doing you a favor.
Yes. Well, I read along with this page. Mm-hmm. I love all the vehicles and I love all the different eras because I can see Batman 89 there. I can see the original Batmobile. I can see Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. Yeah. Of course, we've got the 66 Batmobile in there. You've got a couple variations that I don't know where they're from, but I'm like, hey, I love that. Let's see that one again. This again. All the toys, all the tech stuff. I am a big fan of Batman who improvises, adapts, and overcomes. Who's just so awesome because he's awesome. But the toys are cool. They're neat. I do like all the different toys. I like all the different stuff that he does. And it's kind of like with James Bond.
Yes.
You've got the James Bond who's got a lot of gadgets, and you got the more grounded, down-to-earth, grittier James Bond. I personally like the down-to-earth, grittier James Bond who gets through it because he improvises, adapts, and overcomes. Who is the more earlier versions that they've shown of Bond versus the one who has the gadget to get him out of every little scrap that he's in. Now, again, you're the Bond expert over I am, so I'm not going to throw out any more, but that's kind of like the groove I like. And that's the same thing with the Bat. I like the gritty Batman who's the knuckler. And it's one of those things that I liked about reading Daredevil so much was because Daredevil was that street level hero. Green Arrow, the best Green Arrow stories, he's a street level hero. I like that. But there are the gadgets I do love. I do love the cars. I do love the vehicles. I love all the variations that that Batman has. That he's like, okay, I'm going to be over here. Well, let's go with this one. I'm going to do this. Let's do this one.
There's parallels to Bond and Batman, though. And when I say parallels, as far as it's been an adaptable character. So there's the original treatment that Ian Fleming did back in his books, which I think are a lot closer to Sean Connery and Daniel Craig than anybody else. And like Lazenby's, I think really did a pretty good job of, which is, I know maybe a weird one to throw out there, but Roger Moore's got a lot more, silly's the wrong word because I love the Roger Moore era. Like For Your Eyes Only was probably the first Bond movie I saw in the theater. I had seen Live and Let Die before that on television. But as a kid, For Your Eyes Only, I saw it from the theater for the first time. And it was one of those ones that hit cable and you'd come home from school and like it was inevitably somewhere in the middle or something like that. I'd always watch it because I just think I'm a big Roger Moore fan. But if you were to ask me like now at this stage in my life, where am I at? I loved the Daniel Craig era.
Yeah.
As far as what was done there. And I thought he was just a really, really great Bond. But where I think there's parallels here is I still love the older stuff. And I think it's an example of a character who's been malleable over time. I referenced Doctor Who. Doctor Who, one of the things that's been great about Doctor Who has been as they've changed actors over the years, they let the personality of the actual main character change and evolve with the times and with the actor that was playing the character with varying degrees of success. I mean, some of them have been through the roof. Other ones they've been good, but haven't necessarily connected with fans in the exact same ways. I think Batman's been the same way. Different actors have played Batman. He's been written different ways over the years. That has changed, grown, and evolved. You take a look at the television show, the 66 television show, the comics were very reflective of what was going on TV at the time. Then that all changed. Yeah. Where it was like, well, this character needs to evolve again to be relevant and interesting to people. And I think strong characters are able to do that. When you stick to their core, you can make changes to them and adjustments to them to make them more current. And they work. Batman's one of those characters that is able to change with the times and be adjusted with the times to feel very current and very now. And I'm glad for that. Bond does it too. Like, I'm excited for what's going to come next with Bond. Now Amazon's got the whole thing, and I think there's parallels to Batman with that. I'm hoping they get it right. I guess that's what I'm saying.
You're worried.
Yeah, I'm not worried, but I'm glad that they're not rushing. Let that simmer.
Yes.
They got a game coming up that looks really interesting, which is by the same people that made the Hitman game. I'm not going to go off too far on that tangent, but I feel like when you see different variations of characters come up and they're interesting and fun. I mentioned Batman Arkham Shadow as being a game that I like. That got it right. It's right tone, right feel. You feel like you're Batman because you're in his world. You're not like, oh, this is some ridiculous version of Batman. They got it right. So I think the Bond parallels I'm interesting that you mentioned Bond, but I would agree with sometimes the gadgets overtake the character, and that's never a good thing. And in Batman, the gadgets sometimes overtake the character. And this was an example of when you're looking at that garage. Nope, that wasn't the gadgets overtaking the character at all. He's got mega bucks. They picked the car and then they're going. I like the car they picked too.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a good car. And again, the artistry as they're driving back into Gotham City, I loved how they give us that city space, the cityscape of what they're driving into. But the conversation between Bruce and Dick was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I say conversation, it was kind of one way. Dick was doing most of the talking and Bruce was just quietly listening to everything he had to say. And I love that Grayson's like, hey, rumor is you're dating Catwoman now. By your silence, I take it that's true. Let me tell you something. And just as you're thinking he's going to say something, he's like, I like the idea. I like the fact that Grayson recognizes that Bruce is handling things better, and maybe Selena's part of it.
I'm not against it, is what he said.
Oh.
There's a difference between the two. And by the way, it's a subtle difference. It's not like an extreme rubber band snap. But he's basically showing support while being a little tentative, like appropriately so. It's the support you're talking about. So I'm really not like going the opposite end of what you're saying, but I actually liked that piece because I actually think if he'd said all in, it might have, this is Dick Grayson reading the room as well.
Yeah.
Hey, you should go forward with this. You should really do it. With Bruce, that might have a negative effect. Or he's going to go the other way. Yeah, so this is Dick Grayson reading who he's actually talking to as well. And I love that subtle distinction because you know what I'm talking about. There's certain friends where you're like, if I start saying I'm all in on that piece, they're going to push back just because I said that. Yeah. And I felt like Dick Grayson was more introducing that kind of dialogue there, which I think he is doing what you're saying. Yeah. So I think you're reading it right, and I think your emotion that you're coming off with is actually accurate, but Dick Grayson's actually saying it the way that you need to say it to Bruce, which I thought that's the reason why I was pointing out the dialogue, because I thought that was, man, what a great dialogue choice there, because that is exactly what Dick Grayson would have to say to that man.
Yes.
That's great.
And I do love the fact that Grayson throws out there, my point is, tell her. Hell, you've known each other long enough, she probably already knows.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's throwing out, and it's something Bruce has been thinking about this whole time. Mm-hmm. Back to the last couple issues when he was talking about with Lois and Clark, how he completely let Lois in. He's already been thinking that. And I love this moment. I think a funny moment for Bruce was he's like, you're right. He's like, really? It's none of your damn business. I love the fact that Bruce doesn't throw Dick Grayson a bone. He completely doesn't say anything, but we know Bruce is already thinking all this stuff. We know all this stuff, and this is, again, further going on to what Bruce said. And again, it's kind of a neat usage of this relationship between these two. Call it father-son, call it a partner. These two, it is a father-son relationship because he was there when Dick was a kid, but it's grown into something else that they're partners. They're equals. He doesn't see Nightwing as Robin anymore. He sees him as Nightwing, a fellow crime fighter, a fellow hero, a member of his family. And I love the fact that you get this moment between the two of them, but he still doesn't completely say what he's thinking.
That there is something so cool about that because he's never going to.
No.
That's something where he's not going to break that down, even with Alfred, because I think that would be the one he'd be most likely to. I mean, it's always they've got to tactfully talk to, because they want him to be happy.
Yeah.
That's really the thing. These people care about him and want him to be happy. And he is it's like a minefield when you try to enter that piece. And I love that the dialogue matches interacting with somebody who is a walking minefield, walking emotional minefield.
It's emotional minefield, but it's also just, there's so many layers of mental issues that Bruce Wayne has.
Yeah.
You think about it, again, it's post-traumatic stress disorder that created Batman. It's the trauma of a child watching his parents be brutally murdered that created the Bat. So Bruce Wayne is seriously messed up in the head. All the times we've ever seen any fan fiction out there or stories where all this is made up, and that Bruce Wayne as a little kid was admitted to Arkham Asylum, and there's never was a Batman. This is just a crazy little boy. I love those stories because they ring so true.
Yes,
because of who Bruce is and where he came from. So these moments when you get a nice positive emotional response or positive emotional interaction with people always makes me cheer, because I'm sitting there thinking, there's hope for my friend. There's hope my friend will actually have a happily ever after. That's one of the reasons the Nolan verse, Batman story ended with Bruce Wayne having a happily ever after. Something we never thought we would ever see in a Bat story. They gave it to him. And I thought that for me was one of the reasons I absolutely loved that series.
You hope it winds up being, it sets the stage for what could be a happily ever after.
Right.
Those two kids got a lot to work out.
I think they worked it out just fine. Personally, in my head, it's a happily ever after. That's how my brains work.
Gotham still exists, is I guess where my head's at. It's really interesting when you take a look at the Riddler sequence and what happens there with him and how the Riddler starts to play into this whole thing. I love the battering ram sequence. Dick Grayson's line is not an important one there. He's like, listen, you talk to her, you might want to shave first. And I love that does play out later. This is an example of just kind of foreshadowing. We all knew that was going to play. Yeah. And because that was one where they were definitely putting out that dialogue for a reason. I love seeing these two teaming up again.
Yeah.
It's poetry in motion. It's these two, there's a comfort level when they're in combat together because of the issues that you're talking about. You said, I've been reading some Batman and Robin back when Dick Grayson was Robin, and I've been enjoying the ride. It's fun to read those and then take a look at them now and just kind of go, oh yeah, these are the same two. And the polish of just what because in many ways they grew up together. When you think about where Bruce was at that stage, his early years as Batman, Dick's early years as Robin, the two of them grew as far as the concept of how Batman interacts with a partner was great. I do think he's letting Dick do a lot of the legwork.
I feel like he's sitting back watching Dick Grayson go.
Like a proud papa.
Yeah. This is a proud papa moment, but also I love the dialogue of who Dick Grayson is. How Dick Grayson was born to be in the spotlight. He was never born to be a sidekick. He was born to be the lead. This is a circus acrobat who is out there in the spotlight. And I do love that Bruce is just sitting back there, knowing these four goons are nothing. He's got this. I don't need to worry about that. And just letting him do his thing. But again, it's just that breaking down that him accepting the fact that he didn't ruin Dick Grayson's life by making him Robin. He helped him accomplish what he could truly be. And that is a really important step with him versus Jason Todd versus Tim Drake. Tim Drake seeked out the Bat, and this was always going to be Tim Drake's life. Jason Todd, I do love later on, we do get some realizations. And again, there's all of this guilt that Bruce has about Jason. It's not just being killed by the Joker. It's about, did I do right by bringing him into the mix? Right here, we're seeing with Dick Grayson, he did right by bringing Dick Grayson into the mix. And I love that he lets Dick do his thing while the Riddler escapes.
1 second on that, though, because there's something that you're saying. There's a dialogue piece I really want to talk about here, because I think it's something that's pivotal, being a longtime Batman fan. And I love when they do subtle stuff like this. And while at the time the transition from Robin to Nightwing was difficult for us both, it was a day I had long prepared myself for, because Dick was bored to be in the center of the ring. And I know it's kind of reiterating what you were just saying, and I'm not like trying to do that for a reason, but I think there's a subtle piece there of Bruce saying, I knew I had to let him go. I just didn't do it. It was like, it was awkward. I didn't do it well. We knew we had those years where there was friction between the two of them and all that, but Bruce knew that that had to eventually happen. And with that being the first kid that he was going through that with, he didn't handle it well. And I loved that acknowledgement. And I think that stuff is super cool, of saying but that's inevitably what needed to be happening, so he wasn't held back from being who he is, which is where you were going. I just love that small dialogue sequence, but says so much. They do it. There's an economics of dialogue in this that Jeff Loeb was really, really good at in scripting this when he was putting it together, because sometimes you can overdo it. I'm guilty of it. But Loeb is really, really good at taking that panel and saying, I need to get this dialogue into this single panel because it's critical. It's critical dialogue. And he accomplishes a lot in a very small period of space.
Oh, God, yeah. And again, one of the things I 100% agree with you. I love this, but I do love it's overlaid in the action. And again, as we said, it's Bruce sitting back like a proud papa, watching his son do what he's meant to do. And again, just brilliant artwork showing the fluidity and the motion on a flat page. And this whole time, the Riddler's right there at the side, kind of sneaking away. And I love how the Riddler thinking, I got away with it. Let Batman have the goons. And he doesn't completely get away. He doesn't get away at all. Bruce is waiting for him. He knew exactly where he was going to pop up, but Bruce is just standing there, to bring him in. I absolutely loved how they played this out. This was, again, brilliant writing, brilliant usage of the family dynamic, but also it was a really neat way to bring the Riddler into the story. And I thought that was something that, because you could very easily dismiss the Riddler. Of all of Bruce's villains, this is the first appearance of him. So we've seen all of his villains get an upgrade from Hush. Only one who didn't get an upgrade here looks like the Riddler. And I love the fact that they did that.
And Bruce acknowledges that.
Yeah.
Bruce acknowledges that he's apparently been ignored.
Yeah.
And he says apparently. So even Bruce, typical Bruce, and this actually is a very smart Bruce, apparently. He's still tentative on it because this has been a big game. He does find a clue of that, the ash from the Lazarus pit, which starts to beg the question, who went in the Lazarus pit? What happened with the Lazarus pit? And this is leading to another piece of this, which is really great. The Gotham Zoo sequence and Arkham Asylum and what ended up going on there, especially with Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
This piece with Harvey, I forgot about completely. The fact that his face was reconstructed and that we were dealing with, at this time, Harvey Dent. And a true Harvey Dent who, Two-Face is still there. That's something that's underlying. But this was really a very strong attempt for Harvey to be the dominant personality and to take over here. This led to some really great storytelling. Spinning out of Hush was a lot of really good stuff. There were a lot of great ideas in this that led to really powerful storytelling. And that's something I read an article once with Grant Morrison where that was some of his intention with some of his work, was to create some toys that other people could play with. Mm-hmm. And I love when writers do that. They leave things in a place where you can do something with this if you want to and go some really cool places with it. I love the parallel of the reveal of Harvey and the reveal of Bruce.
Yes.
And what they were doing there with the two of them. I thought it was something that was really interesting. The version of this that's in the film, the animated film, is really intriguing. So they do this in the animated film, and there's subtle differences to how the reveal of Bruce's identity is done in the film, but it's the same concept. What's going on here in the same build, but they did subtle differences. I will say there's something they did in the film that I liked a little better. Ooh. And there's some areas in the film where I greatly prefer what happened in the comics. But they made it a subtle choice in the film to do something with Selena as far as how that reveal happens that I'm like, oh, that was a cool idea. And so it's neat. So you're going to see it when you can't help but compare it back to the original story. And I do highly recommend, if you watch the animated feature and you hadn't read this in a while, read this first, then watch it, because it's fun to compare.
Cool. And again, like you, I loved the side by side as it's going on. And it's funny, even though I knew what was coming, I completely forgot about the Two-Face reveal. And again, there's a lot of stuff that I was just forgetting.
Yeah.
But I remembered emphatically just the Selena reveal and reveal to him. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. But again, I do like, as you said, the where she's like, yeah, where do we go from here? Well, you could find a razor and a bath wouldn't kill you. And I love Dick was right. I should have shaved.
Yeah.
Little tie back to what Grayson said. Again, little funny moments that don't take away the energy or the epicness of this reveal right here. This is an epic moment. Bruce is revealing the secret identity to Selena Kyle. And that's just like huge. And I was like, I remember this page so vividly, but again, I don't remember as vividly with the Harvey Dent stuff. But again, I love the fact that Harvey Dent is back, not Two-Face. And I thought that, again, is something cool that plays out later in this story and then in stories following.
It's an example of this story really needed to be 12 issues in order to really breathe. So I'm glad that this wasn't like a 6-issue arc and things like that. Hush really had that. It was actually, when it was collected, it was originally collected in 2 hardcovers. I've owned this in so many kooky ways. When the hardcovers originally came out, the 2 different hardcovers, I bought both of them, part 1 and part 2. They had, these really cool wraparound dust jackets that were really awesome. The only reason why I ended up getting rid of them over time was there actually comes a point where it's like, okay, you're buying a deluxe edition, you're buying an absolute edition and things like that. I don't need all of those. I'm going to ultimately read the absolute edition. I do have the omnibus. There's a Hush omnibus that has a bunch of Hush stories in it. So I have that, and I have the absolute Hush, which is the absolute collection of this. All right, Jim, let's take a look at this last issue. It's funny, we were just talking before about covers, right? And just magical covers. I keep forgetting how beautiful this cover is.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Neil Adams, Ra's al Ghul geek. I grew up loving this character. This was my era in my childhood where the Neil Adams stuff really started coming to the forefront. Jim Aparo afterwards, if I'm and it's Aparo or Aparo, and I always screw this one up. So, but amazing Batman artist. The take on Ra's al Ghul was amazing. And as a kid, I was always Ra's al Ghul. I guess from Denny O'Neil, it's Ra's al Ghul. I flip-flop between both. But when I see these sequences, it's always Batman and him with swords that, like, if you're one where, like, you're going to make me a kid again, this is the look that makes me a kid again right away. They nailed this. This is so perfect.
Well, it's Bruce standing there with the shirt off, but still having the bat cowl and the sword. And Ra's al Ghul being also, again, just there. It's that traditional fight always rings in my head when I think about these two going at each other. So it's always gonna be the sword fight between the two of them. Yeah. And I love seeing that. And it's something that, like, I'm like, yeah, all right. And
the whole demon saga is amazing.
Oh God, yeah. I love that. That's another story that is just one of those things where you keep going back and you read and reread, and with the Bruce and her with everything all that happens between Bruce and Talia, and then there's the Ray, it just, that is such an epic story that at one point in time wasn't in continuity. Then they said, oh no, this is such an epic story, we're making this part of continuity. And then they're like, hey, let's tweak it a little bit and make it this way. I love how they've handled that story throughout the years, where they've kept it relevant, they've kept it current, they've kept it meaningful, but they didn't diminish anything that happened in the past.
You know what's a great Ra's al Ghul story? Did you read Batman Legacy, the crossover? It gets lost. It's one you don't hear a lot of noise around. It was one of those ones during the various cycles of Batman stories that were out there, that Batman crossovers. I believe Chuck Dixon was one of the writers on it. But it was a crossover, and I haven't read it in a while. It's just as you were talking about Ra's al Ghul and you're geeking out, I was like, I'm like, what story was really good? Batman Legacy. It's one I'm jonesing for a reread. We may do that at some point. I'll have to like pick it up and reread it. And what I want to find out is I remember it being something that built off of multiple minis. So it was like, where is that one at as far as, is there pre-reading that needs to go in place? In which case, do we need to do something before we can do that? I don't know. I want to go reread the story and kind of see where that one like fell in Batman continuity, but I'd like to do that at some point because it's a great story and you don't hear a lot of talk about that one, but I remember it being a great story back in the day. So I haven't read it in years. So similar to this, it'd be nice to kind of take a look at it and how does it hold up? So anyway, we're flipping back and the versions of the Batwing. We talked about the Batmobiles, and one of the things that was great in that Batmobile picture was the fact that there were a couple versions of Batwings in the mix as well. And it's something that ever since the 89 Batman film, they had Batman planes before that. That wasn't the introduction of them. But there was something in the 89 Batman film where it just did so much with the style. Burton, when that thing flew up in front of the moon, and it was like so way cool. It just kind of, I think, struck a chord imagination-wise with it. It's something in gaming that I would love for like a 3D version where it's a Batman game where you are flying the Batwing, and maybe that's all you're doing. I mean, really like getting a Batwing simulator and doing some fun stuff with that. I think it's probably too like hardcore for it to like warrant being its own game. It'll always be like a level in a game, which they've done stuff like that before, but I would love one where it's like fully realized, where you can really play around with the gadgets. And, Microsoft does this thing called Flight Simulator, where you're flying it. I would love for there to be a Batwing overlay and you just fly the Batwing, right? And actually be able to do combat missions and stuff, just because it'd be sweet, right? Go and like fight crime in the Batwing. Yeah. So, because it's a cool gadget. This is where gadgets and gizmos in the Batman world work. And it looks like something you want to touch. Like if it was at like a air show or something like that. We always have the air show here that happens in the fall. And there's something about like certain planes and the car shows growing up as a kid, like the Autorama. They would bring the special cars from different TV shows and media and stuff like that there. This would be so something that would draw me. If this is the only plane that I knew that was going to be there, that would be my hook. We can see the Bat plane. I saw the Batcopter at one of the comic conventions. It was one of those where it was a reproduction. Somebody did a full-blown reproduction of a Batcopter from the 66 movies. And, oh man, that was a geek out and a half.
Yes.
I would love to see a Batwing.
Oh God, yeah.
I'd like to see the Burton Batwing. That would be sweet.
I'm with you on that. Well, actually, on any of the Batwings, even 66 Batplane, 66 Hop helicopter.
Was there a Batplane in the 66? There was a Batcopter. I don't remember there being a Batplane.
I thought it was a plane too.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm doing a 66 rewatch right now.
Okay.
Remember Mike Gordon came on and he's doing his Batman podcast, the Batman 66 one. And I listen to that regularly. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to pace my viewing of Batman around the podcast because it's really a great show. They do their own, it's like a rewatch podcast, and they really they do their research. It's called Bat Chums. And they really do their research on the episodes and do like deep dives. It's a lot of what we're doing here with this, but they're doing it with the 66 show. And they really know their stuff. And I'm geeking out because I'm finding out things either that I remembered hearing and they're validating, or stuff that, and it's, I could always listen to Mike Gordon. I just find him fascinating as a human being, and his genuine love for geek culture in general. So Bat Chums, if you guys haven't listened to it and you're listening to this show, do yourself a favor and check out Bat Chums. It's a really great podcast. I love the Earth Station Who stuff and things that he does. And for him to be branching out into this Batman realm as well, Bat Chums is just a great podcast. And if you're listening to this, you're a Batman fan.
There you go.
So do yourself a favor and do the rewatch. I like these rewatch podcasts. Did you listen to any of them? There's a Peacemaker one. DC's doing one too.
The Smallville one.
Talkville?
Yeah, Talkville. I've done that one.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah.
DC's doing one for the people listening right now. It's running right now. DC's doing a Peacemaker one, James Gunn and assorted guests. And I'm sound like I'm diminishing them. Not. They're getting big players from Peacemaker that are coming on. They went back and did the first season leading up to the second season, and they're doing the second season in real time. So check out DC's rewatch of Peacemaker. I love that. I love Peacemaker. Are you watching season 2 at all?
Not yet, because again, it's about figuring out timing and all that stuff, because that's a little bit weird for Dad. So I've got to watch it on my own.
Okay. So Peacemaker's really, really good. What I'm going to say is, it's amazing, actually. I love Peacemaker. What they've done with season 2 is they're making it in continuity with the new DCU. So there's some contradictions are the wrong words. There's some clarification as far as things there's certain things in season 1 that didn't happen now or didn't happen the same way now in order for it to align with the new DCU. But it's in a way where totally worth watching season 1. And season 2, they clarify like what continuity is, because remember, he was in the Superman movie. So Peacemaker is a part of the second season of Peacemaker is a part of the new DCU, the same one with Creature Commandos, with Superman and all of that. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm geeking out on the stuff that they're doing right now. Check out that podcast though. It's really, really good. Well, anyway, I love this sequence where this is the Batman movies where Batman went into and did the assault, like where he went in and had that stealth suit and he did he retrieved somebody. I love when you do that kind of thing. This is very much that. He's in this specialized suit and he's using the Batwing to get himself infiltrate and to talk to Talia. And only Batman would do this. And I love how she's sitting here like, only you could be so brazen as he comes in, because it is so very much. And I love that she calls him beloved there, because remember, she didn't call him that last time we saw her in this. And she's recognizing some serious differences with him right now. They're interesting chess match between these two. This is one of my favorite relationships with Batman as well. Him and Talia and how they play out. And I love how in his current status with everything that's going on with Selina, it feels different in all the right ways. Because these are the same two people who've had the same history, but yet it feels different as it should, considering where he's at right now. Everybody's been here in their life. You know what I mean? Where there's like that person that like you were very heavily into and something's changed and some status quo's changed. It's not necessarily always another person, but there's something that changes the dynamic in the relationship. But there's still the fact that at one point in time, there was something there. And I love that this feels like that. You can relate to it. It's well written. And the tension is something you can cut through with a knife. And that is just great writing, great screen acting by the art team. Everything about this plays out so well. Great action sequence leading in. This is a James Bond opening. You mentioned James Bond. This is a Bond opening. Like, this is, before you even got to the credits, the assassin, we've got our James Bond sequence right here. Yeah. And this so is perfect for this issue. And I like that these issues aren't cookie cutter like this. Yes, there's stuff that happens before the title in the issue, but they're not always like this. This has been something where every issue feels a little bit different and appropriate to where this particular issue is going. And I love this opening. Wow, what a great few pages to lead you into the opening credits.
And again, yes, on everything you said. The action sequence, the Talia Bruce moments were awesome, but I love the fact that Oracle's like, listen, I don't know if this is what we want to do here. And she's trying to talk him out of it, and he's just 100% locked in. He's like, I've got to do this, and I love the fact that she's throwing it out there, but she still has she's still letting him call the play, even though she thinks it's wrong. She thinks it's 100% think it's the wrong move, but she's still going to go through with it. And I love that part of Team Batman, where she still has his support, even though it disagrees with him.
And the distress call. She's like, I'm jamming a distress call.
Right.
That's the part I'm having moral problems with right here is even this plane, I don't like the idea of jamming a distress call. And I love that she's got real reasons where like, okay, we are really crossing some serious lines here in how we're doing this. And that to me, it says a lot about the relationship in this. It also elevates Oracle. You know what I mean? Where she's not just going, yes, Batman, anything you want, Batman. That doesn't work. If you do that, you've now killed the character. This dialogue is exactly, I'm so glad you're pointing this out because I couldn't agree with you more. This dialogue is what sets her apart. Is the fact that, yes, she's backing him because they're part of a team, but she is not just a drone here. She's experiencing some serious concerns over what is happening here and why it's happening. This, by the way, the bat suit is sweet. I love, you and I are both fans of functional outfits and, especially when you're dealing with these street level characters. And I always loved this bat suit because it looks like it's like built for a purpose and really functional and everything about that. I wouldn't want to see him wearing this all the time. This is an infiltration suit.
Well, this is a Halo suit, high altitude, low opening.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it has all the elements to it where the extra insulation on the clothing, because the thing, he's got his air in there, so his mouth is covered, because you need that separate oxygen because he's so high up. This, again, I loved the fact that he went with the special suit just for this high altitude extraction. And I love when you look at the bat parachute, paraglider kind of thing he's got going on. I love how the harness is rigged up, how it looks like a bat. But even like they took some artistry where the bat head would be and kind of gave it a bat face. And it's all part of the functionality of it, but the art team did some really cool stuff with when they're not only the costume, but just the extra little add-on stuff to it.
I got one criticism. So he needs all that, right?
Right. But
there's nothing for her other than she's Talia. And, obviously they're going for the hot look for Talia. That works. I mean, she looks like exotic and all that. Talia does. I mean, there's the artwork over the years when you've put her in there. Talia very much is that powerful exotic presence. But I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, I'm crying a little foul here. And here's where I'm going to cry foul. One of the things we talk about is Batman's attention to detail, right? That he always plans for things. So he went in there. He knew he was pulling her out. I get that their relationships changed a bit because of Selena and all that, but he's still not trying to kill her. Like, he hasn't given her any kind of oxygen or anything in this sequence or that. We're just yanking her. Hey, honey, hold on. We're going on down. That is my only minor criticism on this one. I'm like, where's the stuff to put on? Like, nothing to put on her?
Yeah.
I know there's not a lot of time. There's not a lot of time, but a breather, just something that, hey, put this in your mouth and hang on.
Yeah. Well, put this in your mouth, hang on, or some type of hook in so she's locked in. So it's not just her holding on to him because they're pretty high up, and if she falls, it's not going to end well for her.
And he's only able to really use one hand because he's got the other one. I don't know how that's functioning. The fact that he's somehow guiding it with one, because he's Batman. Okay, I get that. But I mean, like, he's holding on to her with the other arm, which that part, at least I can buy into. The fact that he's clasping her. But you're right, there is no harness holding her in at all. I'm being nitpicky, but I noticed it. And I'm like, we always geek out over his bad gadgets. There's nothing there for her.
Yeah.
That seems like poor. I would say, Bruce, that is poor planning. I'm Team Oracle on this one. This is not a good plan.
No, this is not a good idea. But now, something else I noticed on art read through on that same page, it has that I made a promise on the grave of my parents to rid this city of evil that took their lives. By day, I am Bruce Wayne, billionaire philanthropist. At night, criminals, a cowardly and suspicious lot. Call me Batman. I never noticed that was in the title.
Yeah.
Well, that is a neat thing to throw it in there.
The one dialogue piece that really sits, Talia says, "You will never hurt me, my love." Batman come back, man, this is cold. I am not your love. Which I know that means his status has changed and things like that. He's pushing back, but could have let her down a little gentler than that.
When we say Dick Grayson's a player, right there, that's Bruce being the player.
But he's not good at it.
No.
I forgot about Lex Luthor making an appearance in this. You know, as far as what President Lex and Pete Ross, and I was glad that they put that in, kind of the atmosphere of where the DC universe was at this time. I really did forget the time placement of this. And I think some of that is due to what you said in one of our previous episodes. This predates when we were doing this podcast.
Yeah.
So we were not having lengthy conversations about this. This had already happened long before our show started. I forgot how old this story was, that this is over 20 years old.
Yeah. That's kind of neat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's the thing. As old as the story is, it still holds up. And it's still enjoyable for us when we read it.
It is funny how, like, we keep acting like this is such a current story. Over 20 years ago. It is not. And they were doing some really cutting edge stuff with this. When we do get back to the Batcave, it is funny how big is that place? Because when we saw the cars before, they were hanging like suspended and all that kind of thing. There's a whole different carport that he's pulling into this time around. Go ahead.
Okay, so what he's got is he's got the Lazy Susan that's got a bunch of cars in it. That's where he's pulling in.
Agreed.
The other thing was the side storage area. So those had the mechanical arms that would pick it up. So he'd select, okay, I want to go with car number 16A, and then reach out and grab it, and then would add it to the Lazy Susan.
I caught that too. Bruce had a Carvana before it was cool.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I get it. They may have gotten their idea from this. Like DC could sue.
Yeah. But again, to your point, how massive are the caves underneath Wayne Manor?
Yeah.
These things are just absolutely ridiculously huge.
I would love to know how he pulled off construction down here like he did. It's one of the amazing, it's one of the amazing Batman things. Actually, some of that was Harold, and we'll talk about Harold. He's coming. Did you read a lot of Harold stories? Like, are you familiar with Harold?
I really wasn't that familiar with Harold. Some of the stuff I remembered from the Asbats stuff. When he played a role in there.
Yeah, he did.
And when Tim first became Robin, he was around for some of that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a big on who Harold was.
Yeah, we'll talk about him later. I'm kind of jumping ahead with that piece, but it was just as I'm looking at this cave, I'm recognizing Harold wound up being a good storytelling tool on how a lot of this came about because Harold. Like we could expand because of Harold. He became his Q, kind of.
Yes.
Kind of a Q. The whole opening with the swords being there, and this was a deliberate choice of Batman's. He's poking the beast with Ra's al Ghul, but recognizes the fact that he's left Alfred exposed. And I like that Bruce is moving at a very, very fast pace. He is not thinking everything through. And that's something where Hush is having an effect. And I like those little pieces where we're like, okay, he's fallible here. He's made some mistakes. I get what he's doing, and there's a strategy to this, and some of it's a good strategy. Some of it's not so good in how he's handling it. And I like that Bruce is fallible, and he goes up and he's immediately checking on Alfred. And the dialogue between the two of them is really strong here. And I love this about Alfred, where when the conversation happens and Bruce is rather frantic in that moment, Alfred's the calming influence.
Yeah.
He kind of gets very, very factual because he's just got that kind of background about him. This is where I miss him. Oh my God, you've got to read the first issue of Batman.
Okay.
There's so much I want to say right now that I can't. And I would have to put a spoiler warning about Batman #1 in order to do that. But anybody listening to this, read Batman #1. It's really, really good. There's a choice they make in Batman #1 that I am so geeking out over how they did it. And I didn't give anything away by what I'm saying right now because you have to read it to really understand. And Batman 1 is really, really good. We're going to talk about Batman #1.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of I'm warning you. Like I want to do it right now and I can't. So that's the kind of book that it is. It's a good time to be a comic fan. There's a lot of books coming. There's a lot of books coming out right now. Is it Immortal Batman? There's one that just came out. It was done by Kyle Higgins. There's a Batman book that just came out. I haven't had a chance to read it. I've got it. It's on my queue. It's actually after I'm done recording this, I'm reading that one. Kyle Higgins I think it was called Immortal Batman. There is a Batman story that has some form of tagline before it. It might be Immortal that Kyle Higgins wrote. Kyle Higgins, remember he had that great Nightwing run?
Yes.
And he's doing the Radiant Black series and stuff like that over there. Kyle Higgins is very, very good as a writer. I've not read it yet. I'm jonesing for it. And I've also there's a Justice League special that just came out. I'm queuing that one up because that's a lead into DCKO and all the other stuff that's coming. There's big stuff coming. This is a good time. And the other book that I'm jonesing for this month, did you see it? Tom Taylor has that Children of the Knights of the Round Table one. I'm poorly paraphrasing what it is. Yes. Yeah.
CORT. Children of the Round Table.
Yeah. And I'm so excited to read that one. We're going to talk about that one at some point too. We're going to have to do an episode or two here or there where we just do maybe a couple singles just to kind of highlight some of these books. Because if we wait till we do the whole arc, we'll never talk about them. We might do that in between. I want to stick to doing arcs like we are. I really am enjoying that piece, but I think what we might do is in between them, take like 3 books and just randomly talk about them just to shout them out. And
sounds good to me.
I might be tipping the hat on what books I want to talk about.
I think there's going to be no surprises.
As you can tell, I'm trying to figure out like, how can we talk about these? I want to fit them in. Like Batman, I know we're going to do the first arc, but I still I don't know if I want to wait.
Yeah.
So we may be doing a Speeding Bullets episode where it's just that kind of stuff coming up very soon. Might be after Hush. Just if you're up for it.
And there might be something green in the book, in our Speeding Bullets section as well.
We might do a couple episodes of Speeding Bullets then.
Yeah, there might be some green.
Yeah. Seriously, we might need to do a couple back-to-back episodes. Just do a couple ones just to touch on the DC universe in general before we go into our next arc. Anyway, as we see the Alfred piece, I really, really enjoy this. The page after that is the one that I was really looking forward to because I wanted to see what was going on with Two-Face. Because with Two-Face, you've always got to be kind of wondering, where's the twist?
Yeah.
Because you never really trust Two-Face when it's good, because it's kind of in the nature of the name, right? That like, okay, it's Two-Face. Where's the turn going to be? Where is the swerve? And I love when he shows up at Jim's place with the history of these two. So in Arkham Shadow, there's sequences where you are in the room with Harvey Dent, Jim Gordon. It's very early. It's Captain Gordon, Harvey Dent, and Batman, and the triumvirate is convening about what's going on. I love when they put these 3 converge in such ways because they all love Gotham in their own way. Harvey Dent does. Two-Face, the other side of him, got a whole kinds of other issues.
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting to see him with Jim and basically sitting here. It's Batman. He needs our help now more than ever. And he's like, I've had my license reinstated. Now, how that happens, I don't know. So there's money driving all of this.
Yeah.
In what's going on.
Pay time money to do that because, again, the multiple felonies he's convicted and murder, the worst of the crime ever, you can't get a license reinstated after that. So we know there's money going on. But I did love this sequence. One, I love the fact that Gordon sleeps with his gun under his pillow and his hand on the gun. Because you see how his arm is underneath the pillow and then, pulls it out. Well, he's sleeping with his hand on his gun the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, that again, he's a Gotham City commissioner, well, former commissioner, but he's always going to be Gotham PD. He's always going to be the guy who thinks like a cop, acts like a cop, is a cop at his heart and soul. And I love how he's ready for whatever's going to happen to him. And this moment between these two was absolutely brilliant because one, I loved how on the one panel, we see the full face of Two-Face. We see the full Harvey Dent. And then all the other panels, though, they're like the half of him. They keep showing like half of him. They either have shadow covering him, they have the panel cutting it off. We do have one good, clear look of both sides clean, but the art team still keeps it in a halfway.
Yeah.
And it's
he had serious reconstructive surgery.
Well, yeah, but I love the fact that they do still keep that half face because it keeps the reader guessing.
Yes.
Is it really Harvey or is this Two-Face playing Harvey? Is this all a con? Because we had that brilliant sequence earlier that showed the Two-Face was Hush. So is this all Hush playing a game now?
Right.
I love how they did that. This is absolutely brilliant on the storytelling, leading us into giving the reader a completely side panel saying, oh, really? He's a good guy. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. It's awesome.
But if you're reading the dialogue,
Yeah.
it is, you start taking Harvey at face value, no pun intended. You get down there and he's saying, basically, we are pawns in this. And how much longer you want to keep playing the game? I'm the one that called you. I know what was going on with Bruce, or with Batman, I should say, at this point in time, and that, tell me you didn't recognize my voice. And the gun that killed Tommy Elliott, when it's found, it will be traced back to you. It's your service pistol, the one you turned in when you retired. And I love that Harvey's like, have such a thing. It's all part of a game. Like it or not, we're two pieces. The question is, how much longer do you want to play? So Harvey's, which this is very Harvey Dent.
Yes.
It's like, you're not going to manipulate me. I'm not going to keep playing your game. And this is him going back to his old friend and saying, listen, I'm me again. And Harvey wants that. For the longest time, Harvey has wanted that. Harvey Dent as a person is not a bad guy. He's got multiple personalities, and there's the good personality is a good personality. This is not one of them. I really enjoy how this is playing out because of the fact that we go to this piece. Flipping the next page over, this to me is, boy, Jim Lee is tapping into, and I say this with nothing but the utmost respect for the talent of Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair and what they're doing. I really love when artists do homages to those who've come before and really nail it. This is very much him tapping into his inner Neil Adams. Oh my God, did he nail this? And I say that with love and respect to all of the talent that's come before, because that Ra's al Ghul that we're seeing right there, ooh, is that classic? They nailed it. They got it right. Yes, it's their interpretation and their edge, but I love when they sit there and they haven't gone crazy. They didn't give him muscles in all the crazy places or things like that. They made him look exactly like what Ra's al Ghul should look like. And there's something much more powerful about it when you nail it and just get it right. And they did that here. This chess match between these two, you want to see it and you want it to be right. It's so cool.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. And I'll tell you, one of the neat things that again, I love that Ra's al Ghul already knows why Bruce is there. Yeah. Why he knows exactly why he took Talia. He knows what's going on. He thinks I'm responsible. You think I'm responsible for Tommy. And I love the fact that Bruce, he's immediately saying, hey, not me, but we're going to fight.
Yeah.
Again, it's not, well, hey, let's have a conversation. Oh no, this is who Ra's is. You kidnapped his daughter. You want information? You have to defeat me in combat. I'm not giving up anything, even though the enemy of his enemy is his enemy.
Yeah.
It's still, though, it's the code. And I love that.
Even though the enemy of his enemy is his enemy. I like the way you put that. This battle between the two is absolutely perfect because it is a genuine sword fight, not just in a physical sense, but in an emotional and dialogue sense between the two of them. Because Ra's is trying to play a mental game with him. And he is trying to gain control of his opponent the way that he does. He is every bit as much of a smart strategist. And I love the way that he is taking control of the fight, or trying to take control of the fight right from the get-go.
But Bruce is different here.
Yes.
And I love the fact that Bruce recognizes this is not the same the same detective I've gone up against.
Right.
There's something different. I love how he calls it out. I was like, oh, you basically saying Bruce is not as soft as he used to be. He's not giving him the opportunity to get ready for it. It's Bruce is being more aggressive. Bruce is fighting him completely different, and Ra's has to recover and do his own change up to keep up with Batman on this one. I love the fact that, and also I love the fact that Bruce is like, hey, I can't give up ground. I can't put too much at risk here. I've got to keep pouring it on. And Bruce is even thinking, hey, I can't hold back. I've got to give him everything I have on this. Whereas Bruce is always never, he's never taken it to a level. Bruce is taking it to that level this time because there's multiple people in danger.
Selena and Talia, that whole sequence is one of the coolest.
Yeah.
Because there's something about Talia where it's not just like I am this weak, pining over Batman. There's something more to her, and it's a very different level. in the sequence where she's saying that piece, I could smell him on you and stuff like that. There's something there that like, it's powerful with her. It's hard to explain the difference, but it's there. Oh, and there is a power, but in that moment where she is really taking a certain level of control of the dialogue. And I like that Selena's not having it. Yeah. She's sitting there. I've made it this far in my life without having to have someone. And so whatever information you think you're trading on, and I like that Talia's like, you two haven't yet. Oh, and I love that she's recognizing that that's what's going on here. And I love just everything about the interplay between the two of them. Both are very strong. There's a very different dialogue between the two. Very much. It's a powerful, it's almost what's going on with Bruce and Dad over on that end. And I really love seeing it. Looks different because it's them. But it's very strong what's going on. I just loved it. I love the dialogue between them because there's nothing weak about what's going on with those two. And I really like when you see two strong females, but just having those interactions between the two. I wanted to see the fight.
I'll tell you, I completely forgot that this went to Lady Shiva.
Yeah.
And so this first page, I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, they're going to fight. We're going to get, I'm thinking cat fight. We're going to see these two throw down.
Yeah.
And because I can remember, in more current comics, these two have a better relationship. They've got a troubled relationship, but these two actually kind of get along a little bit better. Selena and Talia. But I'm not thinking, I'm trying to remember, is this the beginning of that I don't want to say friendship, but it is camaraderie or something. I don't know. But
I would say familiarity.
Familiarity, yeah.
Because you got to start somewhere, and this is I think the prelude to things to come. I was with you on. I didn't remember Lady Shiva having an appearance in this. They really in this story managed to incorporate a lot of characters without them getting lost. That's hard to do because some point in time you get it's cameo after cameo after cameo. This wasn't cameos. This was thoughtful decisions on who would it make sense would be the one to come in. Somebody's got to save Talia. Who should it be? It should be Shiva. And what impact will that have in the storytelling? It leads to a really, really cool battle that I didn't know I wanted to see in this. And then we flip back to Batman and Ra's al Ghul, and it is, again, that iconic battle that we've seen before, but something is different, and it's moved forward. And Bruce basically saying this is not a game, which it is. Bruce is being played in this game. Yes. That's going on here. His reaction pushing back is because of the fact that he is defiant, that he's trying not to let this game take over, not knowing that it is. He is continuing to be played.
One thing I got to say, full respect to Catwoman.
Oh, yeah.
She held her own against someone that could have easily destroyed her without even batting an eye. And she gave her own, and I love the fact that she even acknowledges, I've been playing with you a little bit, just testing your mettle. But Catwoman's, she doesn't have she doesn't have League of Assassin training. She doesn't have that level of training. She's a street fighter who picked up some tricks along the way.
A survivor.
She's a survivor.
She fights like a survivor. So in the end, what she's trying to do is she's basically looking for the opportunity to survive this. It's a different situation when she has to try and protect somebody or keep somebody from being taken. Because now in this scenario, it's not about her surviving. It's about not letting Shiva take Talia.
Yeah.
Whole different ball game.
And I'll tell you, I love the couple of pages earlier where Bruce is talking about he could have left Talia with Dick in Bloodhaven. But it was Selena who said, hey, if we're going to be in each other's lives, we need to be in each other's lives. So it's Selena stepping up saying, hey, I will watch her. I'll keep her safe. And so it adds to the further on why she's not throwing down, why she's not quitting this fight. Now, eventually, it's Lady Shiva. She had no chance. But I do love the fact that Catwoman's not giving up because she made a promise to Bruce. Whether they are whatever they are, she gave her word. And that's something about her. She honors her word. It's one of those neat things about Catwoman.
The Lazarus Pit piece is a real interesting one because Bruce wins. And I love that he's surrounded and he knows how to play that chess move. It's like, okay, we can continue fighting right now. And in the time that it takes for them to try and stop me, you could be getting medical help. So I love that. He's sitting there and playing it. He's playing chess right now. And I love that Ra's al Ghul is sitting there saying, like, this suits me to solve this problem because I want to know the same thing you do. Who defiled my Lazarus pit? And I love the mystery this sets up for us.
Yes.
Because it rolls out another shell game that ends up going on through this. It lends itself to look like one thing and is actually something else. And I love when stories do something like this. Every move that's being done, this is, again, part of Tommy's game.
Yes. This is absolutely brilliant. And again, it completely has me completely thrown off. Now, you're thinking one thing, you're going another route. Where is this going to lead to? It's, again, I love how this played out because we've got this great physical action going on both sides. So on the Rachel story and Talia, there are various counterparts fighting and all that. But as that's going on, you've got the story growing in it. So you've got the physical, you've got some brilliant artwork, you got some brilliant storytelling all meshing into it, and where it just keeps adding to the mystery. The more answers we have lead to more questions. And I love how that happens.
Talia's escape is real interesting. She was looking for the right opportunity. She does not want her father running her life, which is very typical Talia. Raish inserted himself in with Shiva in order to have Shiva pull her out of there. She doesn't want that because Talia's like, I don't need you. I've got this. And I love that she picked her spot, and that's why Shiva got knocked out. Because Shiva did not see Talia coming, which is a rare miss for Shiva.
Well, she was so focused on Catwoman and proving, again, it's the arrogance that Shiva sometimes can have.
Yes.
We saw when we talked about the
best of the best.
Best of the best. It's that arrogance of I am the best there is. So she didn't see Talia coming.
Yeah.
I love how the art sequence right before she gets hit, you can see the shadow of Talia going to hit. That again, they have those little shadow moments throughout this series that we've got. Remember back to the very first issue where you had the Catwoman popped in, and they did the exact same thing here. And I love how that played out, knocks out.
It puts in your mind.
Leave now.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It's more of those. I just want to build off of something you're saying there because I think it's so critical. When art teams take the time to put in those details, they put in mind a sense of motion, right? So you're seeing the setup to the share shot. In your mind, you're filling in things that happened before the panel where we see the chair crack over her. We don't actually see the chair swung. We see the chair broken. And I love that type of piece where they do stuff like that and give you this sense of motion that is not there before. Artists in comics that are able to do this, I just think are just so brilliantly talented. It takes a little bit of an extra thought process in order to do that. But in the mind's eye, when we shift from page to page, something has happened motion-wise in our mind that chair swing actually happened. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was...
No, I love that, and I agree with you. And something else that I didn't realize it until like the art read-through, getting ready for today's episode. So she hits her with the chair, and then she hits her again.
Yes.
That was 2 strikes, maybe more. Yeah. Who knows? But that was definitely, they show the one thing, and then they show the second whack of her hitting her again. So again, adding to Shiva being as tough as Shiva is, a single chair shot didn't take her down. She needed to follow up with another hit.
Well, yeah, the chair shot was really a distraction. The other hit was now clubbing her in the head.
Yeah, that was the knockout blow. And again, Talia is also an assassin.
Yes.
She's not the damsel in distress. A couple panels before that, you can see her working on the cuffs where she's going to free herself. So they laid out the groundwork on all this kind of stuff of a couple panels worth of work showing Talia freeing herself.
The best Talia stories are the ones that lean heavily into the fact that she's just not some weak link.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really, really critical, that you do not make her a weak link in all of this. And I really like her much better when she's a strong character. I love it that there's a chemistry, a blatant chemistry between her and Bruce that is there. And when she kisses him, I love the way he looks in that sequence. Because there's been times where we've seen him in so many great stories respond to the kiss. He's not there. Very different than the kiss with Catwoman, where he's engaged. And I love the art choice in that.
Well, you can clearly see his eyes are open. There's no movement. His head is up and down. He didn't turn his head like he did with Catwoman.
It's stoic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes. It's very, very stoic. So, and here's the thing. Talia knows this. I told you recently there was something different about you. Now I know why. You care for her, maybe even love her. Your mysterious opponent knows this and will use this against you. Is she worth it? Yes. And I love it that I loved the decision. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good wrap up to this particular issue. My gosh, there's a lot of story going on here.
Oh, yeah. And again, this is a good usage of they don't need an epic cliffhanger to get you psyched for the next story.
Right.
For the next part. And I do love the fact that Talia left, but then came back to nurse Catwoman. She escaped. She could have stayed away, but she came back with the medicine to heal Catwoman and keep her going so she would be okay. I love the fact that Talia came back to tend to her just because she recognizes this is someone her beloved cares about. So she's not going to let her die.
So just to be clear off of that, you don't have the interlude, The Cave story, do you? That goes right after this. It goes into the interlude story, The Cave.
I do not.
So there is a short interlude story that happened during Hush when it was released. And it is Batman, Alfred, and Catwoman acting in that piece. We'll have to talk about that story. I think we'll find a way for you to read it between now and our next recording. Just because of the fact that I think it's only a few pages, but it's, again, more of the enhancing of this relationship. I'm betting you've got it somewhere.
I know I've got it somewhere in this house. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, because it's just a few short pages, but I want to discuss it. And it's actually right after this issue in the collected edition that I have. So when this wraps up, it goes to an interlude, The Cave, which is just a few pages. It's not a full issue. It's a few pages long. And I forget if it's Batman Under. There was a book that was going on at that time that had multiple stories in it. This was one of them.
Okay.
So it's part of Hush, and it was actually part of the crossover. Like I said, it's a few interesting pages, but I think as we're talking so much about character in this, I think we do need to incorporate it into our next recording just because of the fact that that's why I'm referencing it now. I'm looking at it, I'm like, you have to have this. Like,
I know I do.
Because you're like me. You've got this, you've got to have this. Yeah. You have Absolute Hush, don't you?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, or if you do, you've got a collected version of Hush somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, I got to find it.
It's there.
Okay, I'll find it.
All right. So this has been a wonderful conversation about Hush, and that we will be wrapping up next our final conversation around Hush.
Come on, Skreel. Let's pay these Plutonian beam makers a visit.
RagingBullets.com is our show website. That's where you can find out details on our next episode. It feeds into X/Twitter and our Facebook fan page. We are proud to be part of an amazing Facebook group community. And it's really something that's been taken over by the audience there who they always post blog postings, news articles, just pop culture commentary in general. Please consider posting over there and checking out everything else that people are commenting on. I also put all of our episodes there, and from time to time we have people that will comment on our episodes. Corrections will go over there. There's things that we said that they're like, hey, you guys missed this piece, or I was thinking this, or I didn't like that. I would love for anybody, if you got any comments about this episode or any of our previous episodes, please post them there. I try to incorporate those comments whenever possible into our show. So feel free to post over there your thoughts on really anything going on in comics. And thank you for everyone that participates over there. I love the Facebook group community. If you are a blogger or a podcaster and have something that you want to share and feel like it'd be of value to our community, please do that. I'm a big fan of cross-promotion, and if there's something that we can do to get the word out about what you're doing and how it might be relevant to our audience, please feel free to use our Facebook group for that purpose. That's what it's there for. The About Us section of our show website is where you can find and connect with Jim and myself on personal social media and gaming platforms. I'm a regular co-host on Is It Jaws? Bi-weekly, we do film reviews, and Paul Spataro is the host over there. It's a pleasure to be a part of that podcast. There's always a rotating panel of amazing guests, and we talk about our love of film and rate them on the Jaws 1 through 4 scale. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Is It Jaws, please do so. We're sponsored, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulin, what is going on over at DCBService.com?
Remember, DCBS is a great place to get monthly floppies, collected editions, T-shirts, apparel, statues and whatnot. You name it, they have it, and they have them at great discounts. So thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, as I mentioned, DC's finest. This series of books, if you haven't had a chance to check these out, it is a great way to get really high-quality stories and a great price point. Batman Red Skies. This is 656 pages of pre-crisis Batman goodness by amazing legendary talent. $39.99 regularly. 55% off, only $17.99. Thank you, DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for continuing to support our show. Our next episode, Jim and I are going to be back, and it's going to be the wrap-up of Hush with Part 4. We will see you then.
Bye.
Raging Bullets, a podcast for comic fans on the internet.
Download or stream it now.
Hosted by the legendary Sean and Jim. Spoilers are ahead.
Let's talk some comics now.
The Raging Bullet Show. Let's go.